Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. I'm Lyndon.
I'm
Amy.
And Debbie.
And this is Coach's Corner. It's where we help people change their relationship with food and fitness by sharing all of our experiences to give you better experiences. All right? If you like this video, like it, share it. Make sure you hit the notification button and subscribe. That way we can spread the word. All right? Today is it's about a topic that's near and dear to me. It's part of the reason why I love working with kettlebells in general. And we just figured we'd share it with all of you. So, if you go to your average gym, we're not bashing on these spaces, I'm just mentioning that they're your average gym. LA Fitness, Planet Fitness, if it has fit in the name, usually it's like something that's like a gym that people go to, pay a small exorbitant fee, and then they just go, right? So Planet Fitness and LA Fitness come to mind because they're probably the two most prevalent in our area. And that makes me want to talk about what they do and how they do it. So most people go to those gyms, they use the equipment, the machines, the weights, the cardio machines, the strength training machines, and they just go in and out. But there was something I noticed a long time ago. Most of those machines are very linear, okay? So they're usually right in front of you, forward and back, up and down, okay? This isn't necessarily bad. It's actually a great way to build a physique if you do it right. But I noticed that a lot of people would miss things that would make their journey fun by only sticking to those patterns, right? So a lot of what we decided to do when we opened Getting It Daily was change that. So we're going to talk today about different ways to keep your workouts fun, exciting, and really help you just realize that the fitness journey doesn't have to be boring. Okay, so why don't we start with that? Examples of things you can do on your fitness journey, or examples of fitness that aren't necessarily boring. What are they?
so many things.
Dance.
Hey,
I love dance.
Martial arts.
Martial arts.
juggling kettlebells.
What? That's not fitness.
It's fun. Yes,
not,
it is.
It's not a form of fitness.
It's too much for me.
A form
I
of
like the
fitness.
elliptical. That's not fitness. That's a form of
The
fitness.
elliptical.
Yes, I would say dance and martial arts do fit.
How about swimming? Does that count? That's
swimming?
fun.
Swimming can count. Yes,
All right, great.
absolutely.
Made
Yep.
it.
Yeah. I would actually say training in general, which I think is a big miss for a lot of people, and I'm talking about strength training or athleticism training. Those two I think can be very, very fun. I actually choose athleticism training in our space because a lot of different people, the components you should have as an athlete are the same components every single person should have. So I opened up a space to do that, right? First and foremost, your workouts don't have to be boring. And I'm gonna give 2 ways that you can make them not boring. First, do something new. This is a very simple concept. You don't have to try too hard. You can just do something new. When I mean do something new, do something you don't average do. I'm actually looking into possibly taking a Pilates class this weekend and going to Yoga League for the next month, just because I've done yoga over the years, but my practice has dwindled as my life has become more full. So I'm going to revisit a thing that I enjoy, but also I've never done Pilates on a reformer ever. So I'm gonna make sure I go to a space and take this new experience and look like a complete fool doing it. Because honestly, it can teach you a lot about what you're doing and how well it works. So again, do something new. My second one is the one that's going to be more controversial, gets a lot of flack in the fitness community, and it is finding different things in flow, right? So what I mean by that, kettlebells have a lot of different movements. So we combine, as a way to talk about it in modalities, we combine strength training with Olympic kettlebell movements in order to help people live happier, healthier lives. So there's a lot of power development, different things involved like that. But the most important part, I would say, for finding flow is putting them together seamlessly. Transitions, the movements themselves, and really just making it look like an overall effort of, let's almost say, like a dance, which is what makes it so fun for so many people. So, controversial take is that it doesn't build enough muscle, right? Yeah, I want to say it, but I also don't want to say it. Stop training like a bitch. There's a lot of people out there who aren't lifting heavy enough, and then are wondering why they're not building any muscle. If you're a grown man over 200 pounds and you're only lifting 35 pounds, then that might be why it's very hard for you to put on muscle. It's a great way to shed fat, but moving 30 pounds around for the average man is not difficult at all. All right. So again, maybe you're not training hard enough. There's not enough intensity in what you do. And I would actually tell you to up that, again, to get stronger. All right? I've just had to have this conversation 3 times in the last week about working with kettlebells, and kettlebells don't build muscle. And I was like, that's an interesting conversation. They came out with those new slam bells. I think everyone here has seen them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So people have been asking me, like, are you going to get them? I'm like, no. They're like, really? I'm like, unless we go outside and we're literally throwing kettlebells, then I have no reason for them.
Yeah.
Right? I just don't. We got slam balls, we got kettlebells. I don't need to buy a hybrid of both. But, again, is it a good piece of equipment? Maybe. Depends on what you do with it. Equipment isn't how you build fitness. Equipment isn't fitness. Fitness is fitness. It's what you do with the equipment that makes it good or not. So I figured we would kind of round robin this because, again, you all have had your takes on fitness before this space existed. I'd like to know what they were and how it's changed since you've been here. Shoot it out.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, I only danced before I came here. I had a Y membership for a little bit, didn't really use any machines. Went and rode the bike, did the elliptical, boring as hell, hate it.
Excellent.
So this is the first place that I've ever done any strength training. All the muscle that I've built has been with
Right in
kettlebells and body weight stuff. So
We don't build muscle.
yeah, that is funny because that's the only thing I've really ever done. I've
Fair.
never done any, maybe in like high school gym class you learned how to like
Move
do
something.
stuff in a weight room, but like that's it. I haven't had any regular practices. So dance is great. That feels like the best for me for cardio than like getting on a machine and just like going nowhere. So that's really my experience. I didn't train with intention
Fair.
until I came here.
Fair. So what would you say, and again, try to use that as a simple question, what would you say is the difference now? Do you notice a difference in quality of life after training here versus what you were doing before?
Absolutely. I mean, because I'm dancing still, I'm performing, I see, my endurance overall, that's increased for sure. And just my body feels better. There's, things that my shape has changed in a way that I never was able to do without adding in the strength training.
Fair.
So I think that really helped me connect upper and lower body. I think I had a lot of strength in my legs and arms, but no connection of that strength. So it was kind of useless. If I could power through with my arms or power through with my legs, but there's no connection.
Right.
And building that connection changed the way my body looked.
There we go. You heard it here, folks. You can build muscle, just saying. All right.
Here first.
Amy got muscle.
Anybody else?
Journey thus far. Let's see. I've started martial arts, taekwondo with my moms. Shout out moms. And then I'd say Boy Scouts was a lot of cardio, hiking. I learned, they teach you all the things. Very fitness based. Swimming. I didn't really like Boy Scouts, to be real. And I worked out with my dad. He's a bodybuilder. He was a bodybuilder here in Rochester. So I remember the first summer working out with him, hated that. And I think that actually kept me out of the gym for years. I worked at gyms. Once I started dancing, 2008, I became a Zumba instructor and ended up working in all these gyms, but I never spent time like using the machines like that, lifting any free weights, nothing. I was just like in and out. I don't really want to mess with that. I know what that's about from working out with my dad. So did cross country running, in high school and loved that. That like strengthened my lungs enough to not have asthma affect me the way that it was. So that's a big part of my journey is like, I think I got into other modalities based off of starting to love cardio, right? So I started heading towards more cardio, became more like a cardio bunny. And yeah, and I didn't really have like much weight training when I came in here. So yeah, kettlebells, I'm kind of similar, you know, like I did a little bit of bench press. I mean, as a dude, I feel like you can't not, you know, like everyone's like, how much you bench? I was like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
What's your PR? I was like, I have no idea, man. So coming in here, learning kettlebells, I think also without my dad there to like walk me through what it was, I didn't feel comfortable like stacking weights on a bar and like lifting it. I see people getting hurt. He told me about all the people in the bodybuilding community getting hurt. I was like, yeah, I don't need none of that, you know? So coming here, working with kettlebells, hearing how you feel about kettlebells, I remember asking you like, why kettlebells, you know? And you were like, it's hard to get hurt, like injured badly when it's one mass that you're moving in space. And I think it ties, like seeing you flip bells tied immediately to like my dance experience, my martial arts experience. Seeing you do it to music, I was like, oh yeah, that's fire. So I think that is how I got into kettlebells and fell in love with it. It's like, I had cardio, I had a bad experience with weightlifting, and coming in here kind of changed my perception of what weightlifting is like, or what training with weights is like. And I'm getting stronger, you know. I can't deny that I'm the strongest I've been, like, yeah, I'm the strongest I've been. My body's changing. I have always had a lot of endurance, and to see how it transfers to strength training is interesting. Yeah. Like the cardio endurance, I think it's weird. Like once you put weight on it, it does change how it feels, how it affects you, how much you can do. So that was a humbling moment. It's like, oh yeah, I should be able to do this, and throw some weight on it then. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. So I think that's the creativity part of it. Is I liked cardio, I liked dance, I liked all these expressions of movement in a flowy way. Sure. And then when I came in here, it kind of gave me structure to that. Everyone saw me dancing outside. You know, who's not in Rochester seen me dancing outside?
That's actually kind of true. There's definitely a couple pages that you're out there dancing just outside.
Yeah, so like that was like my flow expression of myself, you know, my personality comes out through that. I'm able to like do whatever comes to mind, and to have structure around that, to train and see my creativity. I think that's the reason to explore why, like what your body can do. It's like to be able to express more. You know, there's people I feel like aren't able to move their bodies the way they want to. I'm like, that seems like a sarcophagus. Like, like for real, like I was just seeing people messed up, stiff. I'm like, yo, I couldn't imagine. That'd be crazy. But yeah, that's
fair. Yeah, beautiful stuff. I think average person is, I think most people do that. I think most people go the route of what feels safe. And ironically, running is actually more dangerous in a lot of different ways than lifting weights.
For sure.
But a lot of people, because it's easily accessible, because you already walk, it just feels like it's easier. So
I had shout outs to Miss O'Brien. I had the best coach, the best running coach.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about
hands down
walking and all the other stuff.
I walked for months. Yeah. I just walked while everyone ran past me doing laps. I was like, yo, stupid. But honestly, my foundation for running is pretty strong based off of that.
Yeah, so. Dope stuff. Great coach. Great coaches will change your life. Hashtag get you a great coach.
For sure.
What's the name?
What's the name?
I was gonna say. All right, Em. And then I was like, what's the name? Yo, cut me some slack.
No, it's fine. It just made me laugh.
All right.
Okay, this is interesting because I have so many routes that I try to take before coming here, so it was interesting. I didn't know you never lift weights, but I don't know how I would know that.
I lifted like mulch,
Mulch, yeah.
I did like life workout.
Yeah.
Like lifted debris.
Yeah.
Functional training. Debris.
Functional training when it wasn't called
Yeah. God. I played sports.
What sports did you play?
I played softball, volleyball, and I skied.
Okay.
I definitely have personal trained before. I've definitely worked out in gyms, multiple gyms before, by myself and with trainers. Dance for sure for a long time. Capoeira. I think a lot of it's making me realize, listening to you two, I was like, damn, I did a lot of things to try to find here that I didn't know I was trying to find here, but
None of us did.
I think, none of us did. I think that is something that happens in a lot of areas of my life. I think that I'm just like seeking the thing that I want. I don't know what it is, but I go through a lot of exploration to find it, like active exploration. So I think fitness definitely is one of those places. And when I was in gyms, I always thought kettlebells, like they were kind of looked down on as this like wimpy thing to use. Like, oh, there's this 10-pound kettlebell in the corner.
There's only 2 of them in there, too.
Yeah, and there's only,
There's only ever 2 of them in there.
Saddest ones.
I'd be like, yo, what is
And
that?
they're pink.
Absolutely.
They're like hot pink grandma's using it. You're like,
Absolutely
all
true.
right, whatever.
Super colors in a
And you
class
don't-
with steps.
Yeah, and people don't know what they're doing with them.
They're like-
So, yeah. Like I'm carrying it here. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm swinging it. I look
yeah.
crazy. My back's rounded. Like it just. That's my only experience with kettlebells before I came here. Yes,
That should be the front of this kettlebell with an arch back.
Fucking riding a horse.
So yeah, I definitely. I didn't really know anything about kettlebells, and I did yoga. Like there's a lot of dance and yoga. I think was the closest because I like dynamic movement. And when I came in here, I came here for step class, and I did not in any fashion intend to train at all. I was just like, man, that looks fun. And we have danced together, so I was like, Amy's having fun, that looks fun, I bet it's fun. But through the kettlebell experience here, like it really opened my mind to what those things could be and what kind of like muscle building, like I have never built muscle like I have here, or pushed myself to get stronger, and the way that you feel stronger as you're going is so very different. Like there's so much to do with those things. You just need a good coach. Thanks.
Hashtag get you a coach.
Hashtag again. Yeah. So if there was a modality that combined moving well and getting strong, it would be kettlebell strength training to me. That's just hands down. I looked in a lot of different spaces and places. I've done a lot of different things over the last couple of years to try to find what strength looks like as an individual. And I always was I'm the guy who looks for the guy who teaches the guy that everybody wants to get to know. So for me, I had like, let's say if I had came in this space like as a new client, I would have been like, man, Amy and Devin are strong. Who taught them how to be strong? That would be my question. Because I'd be like, no, I don't want to. Yeah, y'all, whatever to y'all. Who taught y'all? Because that's how I learned. And then, there's that old guy in the corner or that lady who's like doing yoga but talking to nobody, right? There's this old lady who every morning I go to work out, she does the same routine every single morning. She does step ups, step downs, carries a kettlebell for farmers carries, does this like little movement routine in place, and then she balances on a Bosu ball, both feet for like an amount of time, and then does weighted carries with both sides. Like I know her whole routine just because I've had to see it so many times. And to me, she's the type of person I ask, what's the secret, right? Like you're still doing it she's like 85. So how are you still doing it at the age you're doing it at, right? And those people would tell you that everyone who starts in strength training gets stronger, eventually ends up using kettlebells as a modality, right? Which is very interesting. So if I've been in the game for 10 years and I've, let's say I've had an injury or something else, I eventually start looking at those swings, right? My hips don't fire, swings. Man, I really want to get a stronger jump, swings, right? It's actually kind of interesting how the kettlebell pops up after a while in the journey to help you get more gains, just as somebody who wants to work out. So I think it works. I think that actually makes more sense than probably you think. My own personal story is something similar. So again, lots of bodybuilding first couple years, not working out at all as an adult, wanting to be my daughter's superhero. So I started to work out because I wanted to look the part. I didn't care if I was stiff or not. I was just worried about looking strong. And then as I looked in all these spaces and places, I started to realize that the people who look strong weren't as strong as they were supposed to be. So it made me start looking at fitness different, right? I can stand next to some of my friends and they look like they're massively stronger than me, unless you know differently. And that's okay. It's just one of those things where I wanted strength that transferred to life. Not strength that I could push a barbell 405, but I can't even get out of the bed without having to roll over, right? Like that to me doesn't make a lot of sense. So I started looking for modalities that did that, and that's how I ended up on kettlebells. And yes, it was COVID inspired. I think everyone's heard me talk on that before. How COVID really is what solidified kettlebell workouts for me when everybody was buying up all the weights during COVID time. So it just solidified, and I just started teaching it. And I would say to the average person going to a gym, again, if you're looking to change what you do, try other spaces and places. We have people coming here all the time and are like fly-by-nighters. They'll come in, they'll be like, I'm just trying something new. And then they end up staying for like years, right? Shannon comes out in my mind. Shouts out to Shannon, who has brought so many people and been such a big advocate for what we have here. And a lot of that has to do with, again, just providing something that you don't see. Wednesday also pops in my mind, right? Because everyone was like, we're so good at this. And then I threw out what they were supposed to do, and they were like, we need you to demo. Like I was like, then you're not that good at it, right? There's never a real pinnacle. You never reach the top, if you will, if you're really growing as a person. You're just pursuing that greatness at all times. But that doesn't mean there aren't milestones. That doesn't mean you don't get better. That doesn't mean that things don't change. And I think that's what kettlebells give as the gift to people. They combine yoga and strength training. So if you think you're a good yogi, try moving a kettlebell and see how you do. If you have terrible movement and you love to train, try picking up a kettlebell and doing some movements that make you go into spaces you don't have. And just like yoga, again, if you're training with humility, I think you'll find very quickly what you're really capable of and what you're not. Those who love it, I think, stick with it. Those who are afraid to find themselves running for the hills when it comes to training with kettlebells. Is that fair? Right. I can think I'm strong as all get out, have a 600-pound deadlift, but if I can't swing a 100-pound bell 20 times, then there's something wrong. I'm probably using my back, I'm gonna hurt myself, et cetera, et cetera. So I like it. I like it as a modality overall, and I just shared it with this community until it grew. I didn't even know flipping kettlebells was like cool to other people. I was like, this shit's cool to me. I just want to do it, and I did it, and I learned about it, and I was like, I think we were doing something. I think we were doing something one day outside. Actually, this was right when COVID started to end, and they were starting to dance and do handstands and stuff, and then ironically, Ashley encouraged me. She was like, what you do what you be doing in the backyard all the time? And I was like, nah, I'm good. She was like, why? I was like, because that's for me. It's just like yoga for me. Like yoga's for me. I'm not here to show off. Like, so for me, showing off is kind of trash unless I'm doing it to inspire a person. And then she was like, yeah, that's exactly what would be happening here. I'm like, so I go to do it, and then everybody, like, I'm telling you, that was probably that year we made so many kettlebell flipping videos. Like, I was like, people actually do like this. This is actually fun to people. Yeah, I think any, like I said, any modality can have fun to it, but kettlebells have a special place because they take dance, yoga, strength training, endurance. I mean, they do it all, and it's just a piece metal, of iron. Like it's not anything special. But I think that's exactly what makes it special. Like old school training, where you had to be strong enough to even do the thing, right? That doesn't come up enough anymore. I think of the modern gym and like the back squat, right? Like everybody goes immediately to a back squat. I'll go to a gym and there's like Smith machines in the corner. If you're unaware with equipment, the Smith machine it has a bar in it, but it's on a rail. Yeah. So you don't have to necessarily know how to be safe with the bar because the bar is set up to not hurt you, right? But that's a big mistake to me for a lot of people. Again, if you need it, have at it. Like if you're not at that point in your journey where you need that type of stuff, you need that stability, have at it. But most people do not need to work out on a Smith machine. They just need to have some humility when they do stuff. So try advancing from the Smith machine to just going into a rack with a free bar and then squatting. Most people end up not being able to do it, right? Because it doesn't translate. The first time you pick up a kettlebell, if you can hold it here, you can squat down and stand up. It's very accessible, it's very easy, and we've had people come in, they're like, my shoulders will never be the same, and then they squat, they're like, I haven't squatted in years. I'm like, I don't know how that's a part of your squatting, but we're gonna do it anyway. And then we do it, and they're just like, this is blasphemy, how'd you do it? And I'm like, just helped you, right? No, seriously, it happens all the time. I think this crew, before you came, we saw it a lot. We see it a little bit now, but I think you were here in the last, let's say, year and a half, where there's been a lot of solidifying the thing. So a lot of people are already like, yeah, I got it. I'm dead serious. When we first started, that was like Devin was sitting over there, and I'm just in here by myself flipping the kettlebell. And he's like, how you be flipping that bell? Right? And it starts a whole conversation. At the same time, there was no paint on the walls. This place was bare. Right? It was one of those things. I never thought that would be something that became popular, and then we built a whole class off of it. So, bars and bells is something that's getting that people love now. Thinking about changing the names to swings and swangs.
Swings and swangs.
Swings and swangs. People like the bells. So a lot of it, again, if we're talking about functional training translates to living a happier, healthier life, right? So would we say that all of us have seen the benefit of just training with kettlebells in our everyday lives? I have.
100%.
Yeah, and I would say, and I guess the next question would be, do we still enjoy it? Because it's been 3 years, close to 3, about 3.
Year and a half.
Year and a half. When was COVID? What was COVID?
5 years ago?
5 years ago?
21,
5 years ago?
21.
Yeah, so 5 years ago. Do we still all enjoy moving around kettlebells?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
We just scratched the surface on that thing.
I actually do. I actually like looking into the deep corners of Instagram and finding these guys that are like, I'm just a warrior with kettlebells.
Yeah.
Like, he's just doing crazy workouts with feats of strength that we don't even see anymore. Like, I love that stuff. I hate going on there and there's some dude with his shirt off, holding a bar, acting like it's a gun, running on a treadmill. I think that's the
I know exactly.
Yeah. Yo, that's
I think that's the dumbest shit. Like, there's so much stupid on the internet, right? And it's not, again, if it motivates you to work out, I'm happy for you. But for me, like, I literally like being strong. So for me, it was more, what can I do that turns me into an even bigger savage? Like, that's how I think about it. I was sitting around the table with Hunter when he came up with this average to savage shit, because we were talking about. I was like, yeah, I just want to be a fucking monster all the time. He's like, yeah, that's savage shit. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And he was just like, yeah. I think that was the birth of his idea for his entire program.
Yeah.
Dead serious. It was me and like 3 other people. So a lot of it for me, again, I like looking and being strong. So that if that's your thing, kettlebells can't provide that. I got plenty of resources. If your thing is moving better, I can attest. I think people in here can attest. I move better because I work with kettlebells, right? I can now express my strength. So self-expression is something. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, let's talk about maybe a lot of it. I don't want to take up a ton of time, but it's because it's missed. It's missed. It's like yoga, right? Like, there's this trend playing on the line with functional training and like people walking away from yoga, which is very interesting to me. I'm trying to tell you, right? Like functional training is the answer to all the people who have done yoga and not done it well, and etc. But again, you have seen me talk about this. I've talked about this in excess. You know I believe it. Again, I just don't think that most people train hard enough. And when I see these functional training pattern stuff, they're not training hard enough, right? And it is the sensational stuff that people are talking about, right? If I see some guy in place just wiggling and moving a barbell, I'm sorry. If you're just doing that, then it's not real training, right? If I see you moving lightweight and you're very muscular and lean, that's not real training either. You're showing off, right? So when someone sees you showing off, that looks good to them, I guess, but they don't understand the process. So really you're tricking them into buying something from you. I never wanted to trick anybody, right? People have heard me say it 100 different times. I'll be like, I just want to be strong like my grandfather and my dad and stuff like that. And if you meet them, you realize like they're some strong guys, right? So a lot of that was my whole thing. So picking up 100 pounds should be easy for me. Throwing around weight that looks inhuman should be something I can do without a problem. Like that's what I'm pursuing. So if your training doesn't match what you want, then it's not really training, it's just kind of working out. Fair? I'd like to talk about how you all came from movement and expression and then went into trying to choose a way to build strength in that. I came from the opposite side. I was already building strength. I was like, yeah, I just want to be strong. But I was losing my ability to express that strength versus the other way around. So I figured it would be a fun talk to have where people could see how the different modalities and have played into each other. So how have you seen your lack of strength play into your ability to move freely? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Different path.
I can go first.
Sure, shoot.
I'm gonna say the fact that I hadn't dealt with weightlifting as a man up until I came in here was fear. So I think just lifting weights consistently with a coach that made it feel safe to do so and like start expressing that way was a mental like unlock. So going back into all of my other modalities, like going back into dance, running even, feels different in the fact that like I understand my body in a level that was behind that locked fear, of like, oh, what if I can't, like, what if this happens and I can't catch myself, or what if this happened, that, like they're unconscious, subconscious fears that melt away when I know I can like Turkish get up the 80, like just knowing that I have the strength to do that allowed me to express myself in those other modalities like more powerfully without fear that, like I might not be able to do this again, like I feel like I could do a backflip right now. Can't.
Yeah.
But I feel like
I could do 100 backflips back to back
in a row.
But I can't though.
Never done them.
But that's the thing, like
The same spot.
there's been so many times like where I wanted to do a dance move, right? And I was like, like I see people like break dancing and I'm like, oh that looks lit and I should be able to do that, like my friend Garrett, I'm like dancing with him. And I'm watching his technique. I see him learning new moves and new power moves. And it was the mental that he had. Like Kay, Kay has that mental where I'm like, if Kay were to break dance, I think they'd be great at it because there's this like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna throw my body at it and go for it.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do that, like there'd be this risk assessment before I even like expressed myself.
And, it's funny. I think how you grow up can affect how you view and do things. But I think to me, the gym, physical fitness in general, was one of the first places where I was able to create that own manifestation of that will for myself. You know, again, it doesn't matter where you come from. If you grow up in an unstable environment, a fearful environment, I think that becomes how you start to look at life, and you can over assess, and it can lead to freezing, right? And when you freeze, then it's not lack of capability, right? It's not lack of capability. What it really is, it's lack of confidence, right? So how can I start teaching myself? Hey, how can I start teaching? Let me say, hey, that's all right.
Good.
We're just doing some podcast stuff. How's it? How you doing? You guys looking at the space too?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. Nice to meet you. Lyndon. Good to meet you. How you doing, boss?
Jimmy.
How you doing, Jim? All right.
Sorry, recording.
No, that's cool, man.
Content.
Yeah.
Your bathrooms are back there?
Yes.
Okay, you got
right side, the other one's an office.
Okay.
So right side is a bathroom. It's actually pretty spacious. You guys can check it out. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, man. The days they run, you know. Nice to meet you, Jim. If he was my landlord, I'd love that. As long as he ain't bad, I'm like, oh yeah. Protect that space, Kismet.
Sorry, man.
Nah, you good, man. And we know people are going to be running in and out. Usually Jim won't even let them come in, but I know you. So.
Okay. All right, well, thanks,
It's
man.
good to
All right,
see
we'll
you, brother.
We'll catch up.
Yes, it's good to meet
Thanks
you.
very much.
Yes,
Good to meet you.
take it easy.
It's over.
Get him. Get him. We should have just locked the door, honestly.
Yeah,
That should have been
yeah.
the solve. It's
We're
not.
not- yeah.
I can't be mad at them for walking in, especially if they know me. I'm like, Dad's calling me.
Yeah.
You coming back? Do you want to stay there until she calms down? Because I can just make my point. You can just be off camera. It's fine. Do you want to stay there?
If you cut that part out, it would be like I just suddenly disappeared.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it. I was like, how do we make M a ghost?
And we just
Stop
keep
motion.
talking.
Flies out of the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if she's gonna stop now.
It's okay. Do you want to sit with her?
Not really, but
Okay. Well, let her
I
go.
might need to.
Alright.
Could let her out.
All right.
I don't know.
I mean, you're gonna have to close that curtain. You let her out.
Yeah.
So maybe just turn her thing.
Oh, she'll love that.
No, I mean like so she can see.
Oh.
Not that way.
Turn the kiss around.
Okay. Turn the kiss. That's it. So okay. So I was saying, and again, I want to finish this up in the next 12 minutes. So I was saying, I think it's a big deal for the average for the where you seek agency is important, right? So I think in the last episode we mentioned how like we have respect for certain people because of their ability to be brave, but I didn't grow up in spaces where bravery was accessible, right? Being brave in those spaces was called being foolish, right? It was treated like that. So ironically, how do you build self-confidence when the spaces you've been in have taught you to move in fear? My biggest way of doing so would be to stack wins, to continuously stack wins. And you know, if I walk into a gym for the first time and I said I was going to go and I did what I said I was going to do, that's my win. You know, maybe I just go every day and I just go, that's a nice water fountain, and I walk out, right? Now, eventually this becomes a waste of a trip, right? So I would say after my first 1 or 2 times, it's going to start feeling like a waste. Maybe I'll go do some cardio. Maybe I'll go do something else. I think a lot of times we miss those moments, and those moments become what we know or don't know based on what we're willing to experience and what we're not seeing. Come here. So if you want to build self-confidence, I think one of the very best things you can do for yourself is find a space that allows you to fail in a way that feels forward, right? If you're trying to grow and become a different individual or a better version of yourself, then all you got to do is, like, let's say, again, I have no confidence. Well, let me go into somewhere where my lack of confidence doesn't stop me, right? You guys found dance. I found, literally for myself, I found martial arts as a kid, but as an adult, it was definitely the gym, right? Just trying to get back to moving, not realizing what movement was about, or what the key of movement, what I was trying to accomplish, because no one in my life did those things. Yeah, I see you. Yeah, I hear. All right. So because no one in my life was a dancer or expressed themselves via physical movement, I didn't have that as an outlet to look towards. But I did have a lot of guys around me who could take a lot of punishment, right? Like real good at dishing it out and taking it. So a lot of the times, when we would have different conversations, you know, the expression was low, right? Like, yeah, man, how you feeling, man? Oh, man, I'm feeling, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here, whoop, whoop. You know, stuff like that.
No, I can't.
And that's the type of stuff, that's Ashley. That's the type of stuff that we want to stop or exhibit
that
so
is
that way we're in a
Ashley.
better space. Hey, Ashley.
Bye, Ashley. Come back?
what's her name? Yeah, I don't know if she's coming back. So as you can see, being in flow means even continuing when things don't go well or go exactly as planned, because usually it's a very like stable environment and no one interrupts, but you have to go and roll with the punches some days. So a lot of what we allow ourselves to do, I feel like, is based on what we see. Being bold and showing bravery actually has to do with doing the opposite. I can do what I know. Am I willing to try something new? Am I willing? This is why they say stay a student, right? It's that whole acknowledgement of, I don't know the outcome of this thing. I've been told it's this, but nothing in my life tells me that it's this, and I'm willing to give that a try to see if what I'm being told is how it works, right? I think everyone here, every person can identify with that on some level, right? Trying something new and seeing how it turns out for you. I would just say that we found a space where duality met itself, and again, like maybe you had a lot of self-expression, but you didn't have a lot of strength, right? So you learned what strength can do for that self-expression. I had a lot of strength, but I didn't have a lot of self-expression. I learned how my strength lacked self-expression, which allowed for me to seek self-expression and movement, right? My limitations became my practice or finding those limitations became my practice, versus just doing something I knew I could do. And this is why I am an anomaly in most spaces that we will go to that are fitness based, because I can run, I can jump, I am strong, right? Like all those things that people say they want to pursue don't exist in a lot of fitness spaces. That's why people love CrossFit so much, because it combines a lot of those elements, right? So again, if we're seeking true strength, then a lot of it looks like being able to have the resilience to stay in those spaces and places and then still grow in them anyway. And I think here is a great example of that. Just our community in of itself, but also the training, the classes, the training, the conversation.